The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down at the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and true was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early. The ship was the pride of the American side, coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. As the big freighters go, it was bigger than most, with a crew and good captain well seasoned, concluding some terms with a couple of steel firms when they left fully loaded for Cleveland. Then later that night when the ship's bell rang, could it be the north wind they'd been feeling?
Hello and welcome to the Nonsense Chronicles. This is Doug Sashery, and as always, I am joined by
Rob Mendiola.
Greetings, Rob.
Greetings. Calling in today again.
So I am calling in today. I'm just shaking off the last bit of this cold and just
the California cold.
Yeah, the
Oregon
derived in Texas, flown back to Portland, and then given to me there in Portland and in the state of Washington. You know,
nice.
So yeah, but today is a good day, man, and we're going to talk about a subject that is another one of these subjects that, you know, I'll go down the wormhole on, and I've been doing it for as long as I can remember.
I'll let you take that. Run with it.
Well, okay. It's the SS Edmund Fitzgerald, or as I like to say, you know, it's just the Edmund Fitzgerald, the ship, the mighty Fitz, or the Toledo Express, as they called it sometimes. But it went down and on November 10th, 1975. So this is the 50th anniversary, the week of this podcast.
Wow.
That it went down. And it's basically considered the Titanic of the Great Lakes.
Okay.
By its size alone, I forgot what was it? Yeah, 729 feet.
Wow.
And it was so big. It was so big that I think it just fit into. They built a ship. It was owned by an insurance company, and who normally would just cover these freighters and stuff like that. But then they decided that they needed to, you know, it'd be a good little money-making arm for them to, you know, because they got to pay off these life insurance policies that they're paying off and stuff like that. And well, this is a good investment. And it was. I mean, the Fitzgerald set records year after year on how much they could carry. And it was so big to get through the St. Luke locks, you know, where they come down out of Lake Superior. I think it just barely fit. It when they built the ship, they built it to exactly fill that, you know, that lock when they let you through on length. And it paid its way for a long time, you know, and then it met a watery end. But you know, that we let off this episode with the Gordon Lightfoot song, which is it brought so much light. In fact, I'm not sure that I don't know if I think that probably it was the song that made me look this up as a kid, because the song was out maybe within the next year. It wasn't long
after it went down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason why, I mean, it was so quick that there were some inaccuracies about it. In fact, I think he might have started. I think he was writing the song at the time, you know, as soon as it happened, and because Gordon Lightfoot was from Canada, and you know, both sides of the like the Great Lakes shipping was a big deal it still is, to Canada and the United
Trade.
States. And but there's some inaccuracies in the song. Like he would change a couple of the words when he was playing it. You know, when he passed away just, I think, a couple of years ago? No, maybe last year. And he, you know, there was very little. I mean, they said he came from some mill in Wisconsin where it takes off, but no, it was actually Minnesota. But you know, there's very few things that are wrong in it, but it did highlight that incident and, you know, to the plight of mariners on the Great Lakes quite a bit, you know, and well beyond that. I mean, I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to go to the Whitefish Point Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum, and it's amazing. It is one of the features there is the bell of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which 1994 they went down, I believe, and took the bell and they replaced it with a bell with the names of all the sailors on time. You know, there was 29 people on that boat.
That's
and they
kind of cool.
Yeah, and actually, and you know, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but just talking about the wreck itself, the wreck itself is in Canadian waters. Like, I mean, it's very close to Whitefish Point, where the final resting place is. But the border between Canada and the U.S. on Lake Superior, you know, it goes up and down, and you know, so it just happened to fall within. But the families of the victims, they all went, you know, basically, and made sure that nobody would dive on it again. So this was basically the last dive they did in '94, and they went and put that bell down and took the other bell up and brought it to the museum. But yeah, so I mean,
So how many feet is it?
It's
down?
a big. I want to say it's five. Now this is going off of memory. I think it's 544 feet or something like that down.
Okay,
so
not insane. Not an insane depth.
Not insane. You know, they found another wreck, which I can't remember the name of it right offhand. Not too far from there, but it was in a trench, and it was about 800 feet down. So, which is rare, very rare. But because it was in this big trench, that's actually how they came across it. Somebody was actually, when they were looking for the ship, which they found like 5 days. No, it was 4 days later. They found it, and they found the wreck by the same technology on planes that they would use to find Soviet subs. It detects the magnetic field, and the subs only usually, I think they said at the time they were like, I think about 400 feet. Well, obviously something that was 729. I mean, they said it popped right away when they went over and found it, you know, so it down in two pieces. But anyhow, I guess let's get to the story on how it got there. But there's actually a brand new book. There's lots of good documentaries compared to our subject we did the other day. There's lots of good documentaries.
Well, you're talking 1975, so there was definitely, you know, a lot of technology by that time. So,
oh yeah,
I would think there's video. There's probably a lot of video of the ship, right?
Well, they show. Yeah, they'll show the ship, you know, of course, before the wreck. But there's lots of documentaries on it, and
imagine there's
a lot of good
video
information
from the, below the water.
Well, yeah, and they've taken footage of the ship. You can see the ship, the housing, and all that stuff. But they actually, one of the times they went down, there was a body, because the water down there stays very, 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 very cold.
Yeah.
And Superior, it said, never gives up its dead. You know, that's in the song, and it's very true, because it's very cold. The bodies don't come back up.
Yeah.
They don't heat up and fill full of gases like you would around here, you know. So, but Yeah, they took off from Minnesota, and they were followed by the Arthur M. Anderson, which was another ship, and they they would try at one time at night. They could see each other, going through, but then the weather changed. They had a front coming up, and they had a low pressure system that was coming up through Missouri, somewhere between Missouri and the Dakotas and all that. It was coming up, and at the same time, you had a front coming in from Canada, and they hit. Well, this is the last run of the year. I mean, they did not. The captain was getting ready to, McSorley was getting ready to retire. This was going to be his last voyage, and it was going to be his last voyage of the year. And they made extra money if they could take that last trip, So some risk to reward, but the crew gets a little nervous. But the captain of that ship, McSorley, he was picked. I mean, you didn't just get that job right out of the bat. You had to be like the best of the best, and he was what was called a heavy weather captain. In other words, he'd been through plenty of storms, and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
he was well trusted. Yeah, and they decided to take a northern route, hug the Canadian coast instead of going down low, because they would be somewhat protected by the coastline going up, and like it was the water. The difference, and this is one of the good things that I read in the book, The Gales of November, the one that just came out. They, the heat, and there was some good information there that I didn't know. They talk about the ships on the ocean, the salters. They'll go out there and they'll get hit by waves, and they can freeze, but it's salt water, so it's not the same. You get some. I mean, look, we've both seen the Bering. When they go out and do the crab fishing, they get ice on their ships. And but the fresh water, man, it freezes. It freezes right away. Then you got another. Every time there's a wave, there's another coat and another coat and another coat. You talk a ship that's got quite a bit of tonnage already.
Yep.
Then you're in. That's why they normally don't go out that late. This was going to be the last run of the year, and they're carrying all that. They weren't expecting it to be that bad that quick, but it did. It converged right over the Great Lakes, and they tried to hide behind, take a course that would take them behind Caribou Island, and then they would shoot south, and make it to Whitefish Point, which is in Whitefish Bay, which is protected. Whitefish Point protects the bay, and just came up just short. I mean, it nailed them. They couldn't have been in a worse spot when they got hit than they were. And there's a thing on the Great Lakes where they call it the sisters. When you're in the ocean, you've got a wave, then a wave, then a wave coming at you. Well, and there's times, but the waves on the lakes come in threes, and that's the reason why, is because you have so many coastlines very close, and you don't think about that. And there's several theories on how the ship went down. I think to me, the one that seems to make a lot of sense, and there's a billion people that believe in a different one or this one. I mean, is that the ship ended up breaking in two. And, there was a shoal that it could have hit, but they found that, one of the reports I read recently is the shoal was deeper than they thought it was anyhow. So they didn't think it was that. But what happened was, with this ship, it was kind of flexible. And I don't mean like a gummy worm, but I mean that with the three waves, if it would get on a couple waves, it could bow down, it could bend in the middle, or if the waves went further over the center, then the waves could the 2 points on the bow and the stern could actually dip down. They could, and believe it or not, but they think there's a good possibility that ship snapped in half. I mean, it was carrying so much, iron ore and the little pellets, and it. And the Anderson got hit. They were behind the Fitz. They got hit by a huge wave that hit his stack. Now you're talking about a stack on top of a ship, which is above where the pilot deck is, and you can imagine how high that is. They talked to me, well, one of those, it was like a rogue wave, hit that and damaged a lot of stuff on theirs, and they're wondering if that's not what was the final straw, because if the Fitz had hit the shoal, then it wouldn't have made it past the shoal, which is south of Caribou Island. If it would have done that, it wouldn't have gone really any further. But the Fitz kept on for a while. The captain said that he had lost a couple of vents. Now on the vents are like on the front of the ship. You have all these watertight containers that they have to clamp down, man. It's one of the biggest things. And McSorley was a good crew captain, but he was a stickler for getting that stuff done right. And so those hatches were all, I believe that they were all done correctly. But you have a couple of vents on a ship, and the Derbyshire, for instance, that went down in 1980 in the South China Sea. They found out eventually, and boy, that went down like thousands. So when they found it, it was like torn up because of the pressure, But they found out what happened on that was the wave would hit, a little bit of water would go in. Well, it kept going in and kept going in until it took till the ship hit another huge wave in the ocean, and then it just ducked below and it couldn't pull out, and it just went straight down, and then it imploded when it was going down. Well, he said he had a couple vent, and I'm trying to think in my head, how did those things are pipes, and they come up on the deck, and they have a hatch on them. So I mean, but they're meant to come up and down, like if they needed to blow out some air, I think from the inside. But for whatever reason, they were missing. So if that is true, he had to have taken on a hell of a lot of water. So, and there's no implosion at only 500 something feet. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. But
it was, what they think happened is it broke in two. Then of course it twisted. One end ended up straight up. The pilot housing and stuff is straight up. The other end is upside down.
Yeah, that
so
probably
when
has
it
a lot
broke,
to do with the cargo weight and all that shifting.
Oh yeah, a ton. And like I said, if you had all those tonnage of pellets in there, and then you add water in there, man.
Yeah.
And those guys, look, they loaded those ships down as much as they could possibly put in it. I think it wasn't as load as they could have brought, but it still got a ton of stuff. And then if you add water, and there's no way to get it out in those pellets, because those pellets will actually soak up some of that water after time.
And then there's bad weather on the horizon, so that probably wasn't very good planning.
No, they always, it's just like anything else in life, just one more, just this. And
it's greed, the money.
And that didn't, no. Yeah. And the captains make a huge bonus. And,
because you're delivering commodity. And so that's money,
Yeah. And that's basically what happened. Like I said, the waves and everything else there is a lot different. And, when those storms go across, that's why.
But had they waited until the storm was gone and then did their trek, they probably would have been fine. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, but they talk about the gales, the witch of November, it can happen. It can happen anytime, They had, in fact, before that storm, they had a storm in 1913, which they called the White Hurricane. And it took down hundreds of ships. I mean, because back then, they weren't as up on the technology as they are today. So, 1913, this is the year after Titanic. Mm-hmm. And, it took down a ton of ships, man. There's thousands of ships in the Great Lakes that are down there. of the thousands, there's only 3 sites that are you can't go back to. You can't dive on. One is the Fitz. There's another one I can't remember the name of it, and there's a certain area in Lake. I want to say Huron. I think it's in Huron that you can't go on because of the.
I wonder how
they
they
just banned it.
How they control that, the diving. How's that
They
controlled?
got Coast Guard. Well, they got Coast Guard ships in there, and anybody that they see, I don't know if that site's marked by. I want to say it's marked by
I'm sure by now.
a buoy.
Yeah, I'm sure by now.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody knows where it's at now, but
exactly.
I think it's marked by a buoy.
I'm pretty sure you can Google the coordinates.
Oh yeah, no, it's exactly marked. Yeah, I could tell you exactly where it's at. Now, right on my computer. But it's it's just they won't let anybody dive on them. And I understand that if the families want to go down, there's no definite this is how it happened, but there's multiple
there's
theories.
Too many factors that were involved. So investigating that's just nearly impossible. And then investigating it 500 plus feet deep, That's
and there's multiple. Yeah, there's multiple theories, on it, and
that's all you can do basically with that.
Yeah, I mean, the families, I respect that. There's some people that I really enjoyed their commentary and their knowledge on it, and some of them wanted to go back, and I'm like, nah, in my head, I'm thinking, no, it's not a good idea,
Well, you find the people that want to go down and pick out pieces they can sell,
Yeah, that's the thing about Titanic I liked when Robert Ballard went and he founded the Titanic after other people had looked, and then they kind of had an idea where it was at, and then sure enough he came across it. Well, he went back later on to they went and dove in and looked at it really good, and then the French, some French were involved, and the bad thing about that is, that they're the ones. Ballard wanted no part of that and believed that it shouldn't happen, but that other company went and
I think
money. The companies, they went and took all kind of stuff off the Titanic, which
that's the ultimate goal.
It's horrible. I mean, the stuff they took off it is quick. I mean, like the Titanic's been down there over 100 years now. Over 113 years.
But
the ship is going to.
As soon as you bring something up, though, there's somebody ready to buy it, though. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah. No matter what, dude. I mean, you can take a kidney out, somebody will buy it from you. But, every time they take something off, it just that much quicker the ship deteriorates, and that's really sad, But, that's they won't let them do that shit on the Fitz. I mean, there's not that. I mean, well, trust me, they could find plenty of stuff they would take off and somebody would buy in a half second, But, but no, that's the
50 years.
The story of the Fitz, man.
That's not that long ago, really, though.
No, I mean,
to be honest with you, I wasn't aware it was in 1975 that happened. I thought it was much earlier.
No, 1975. Yeah, because that's another thing too. Is that's a part of the fascination of it is you don't expect that to happen, and it's funny. I heard captains and stuff say that, and it's because of the times we live in. But then, you think back to Titanic, they basically had the same theory. This ship this big, there's no way. Only God himself could sink it, or God himself couldn't. You don't want to say that. But, that's what happened, and those are, I mean, if you could ever get up to the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum in Whitefish Point in Michigan, the northern part of Michigan, upper Michigan, it is not only is it a beautiful country, but man, it is amazing. And that museum has got a ton of information on a bunch of different wrecks. It highlights the Fitz and shit. They tried to like retire the Fitz exhibit like 3 times, but like bring it back, but just do a seasonal, and the people wouldn't let them do because they keep going there. And when you go into that museum, you have to turn off. There's a road that turns to the left, which heads west, and that will follow along the coast of of northern Michigan, going into Wisconsin and then Minnesota and all that. Well, the road that goes up there to Whitefish Point, it's like one of those roads. The only way there is a 20-minute ride or a 20-mile road up north, and a 20-minute ride up back. The temperature drops 20 degrees when you hit that, when you get there from where it was. That's amazing. But yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true, man. But I think it's a good thing. And there's so many documentaries on it. Go and listen to it. Like I said, there's a new book called The Gales of November that's out, and it's on. I got it on audiobook, and I love it. Even though I know that's technically cheating, but I love audiobooks, and it's a good one because he goes into a lot of stuff on the build up, not just the final deal, which we're giving you today, but the lead up and why things were done a certain way, on putting these ships in the water and how it was done, and then some of the factors that, like I said, the factors of, the captain's got a bonus, for every, for how much tonnage they brought in, and this one last run could really do really good. McSorley, the captain, had a wife that was, I think she had a stroke. She was hospitalized, and he had to take care of her basically. And this was going to be his last run, so it's cash out. Yeah. But it was an honor for any of those guys to be on that crew. If you got picked to be on the Fitzgerald, it was a big deal. So, but that's it, man. That's our tale for today.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
50 years.
It is, like I said, it's just. Yeah, 50 years. It's a
but men lost their lives.
Fact for me
so, that's the bad part.
29?
Yeah, how many people lost their lives?
29.
Wow. Well, it sounds
just
like
the songs.
They'll never be forgotten. Sounds like that's cool.
No, there's one name in particular that besides the captain that I'll never forget, and the guy's name was Tom Benson. Now. The reason I won't forget that name is because that was the owner of the Saints in New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
Till he passed away. His wife owns it now. But yeah, the Benson in New Orleans and of San Antonio auto fame is BENSON. And Benson, I believe, spells his BENTSON maybe, or
Benson.
SEN.
Okay,
so.
Yeah.
But it was pronounced exactly the same. So every time I heard Tom Benson, I was like,
"Yeah,
what, the Saints on?" And I knew it was not true, but it came to my head every time. But yeah, and a lot of those guys were young. You had your veterans on the ship, but you also had young guys, and the young guys were watched over really close. You did not want to screw up on that boat. The captain was. He was rigid, but he was very fair to his crew. There was a guy that one of the stories I caught from the book was one of the guys was running late. It was a young guy, and he was not on this trip, but on a trip before. But what the captain did was they slowly had his guys, because everything had to be recorded when you left, and I mean why are you leaving 10 minutes late? So it's going to look bad, and he's going to probably have to get rid of that guy. But a young guy was running late, and he had his crew just slowly, remove everything, then glide along the dock. The guy ran and jumped on. Captain and him never talked about it. That was kind of cool that to give it, but the guy understood, that not to screw that up. But that guy was well respected. The captain was. So, like I said, this decision here, just it's like any of us. We make a decision to push one last thing, but man, this circumstance came up that you really did not think would be that bad, because you've been in heavy weather before, but this was a rarity. Like I said, if I did not know much about the White Hurricane of 1913, but look up White Hurricane. That's all you have to do. You don't even have to put in a year, and it'll come up, and you can read about that as well. And it was just unbelievable, the stuff that happened on that lake. Those lake storms are different. You think you're going out on a little pond, but you can't see the shores. Yeah. And like I said, you get the bounce back you get on the waves, which they call the sisters. they're pop in the waves, and it's a lot different than being on the ocean itself. But that's it. That's all the commentary I have on that, man.
Well, cool.
Hopefully somebody else will get real nerdy into it now.
I'm sure.
All right. Well, that's it for the Nonsense Chronicles today. Please like and subscribe, and we are out of here.
Later.